The army's being drafted into Bolton to help with surge testing in the areas with the fastest rising cases of the Indian variant. Peter Griffiths joins me now. He's a team lead for SILIENT, which has organised the surge testing in conjunction with Bolton Council and the Army. Peter, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So what exactly is your team doing?
We are conducting an exercise and we're delivering PCR tests to the population of Bolton so that we can get some more accurate results of the new virus.
Did your team come about because of the pandemic, or is this something that you were trained to do?
No, this whole unit was arranged because of the pandemic, and every new part of the team is trained for this particular task, so it's brand new.
So what sort of things did you have to train these people up on? It's a 100-strong team, isn't it?
It is. It's a combination of 50 personnel from the Army and 50 personnel from the local community. And what we do is it's an exercise which is a logistic exercise for getting that amount of PCR tests delivered to the households of Bolton. So it's just a question of actually practicing the logistic exercise, so that they're actually delivered to the households and collected and then taken off to the laboratories for testing.
That must have been very interesting, bringing together the Army with civilians. The Army definitely have a way of doing things, don't they? How easy was that?
Initially, there was a certain amount of reticence, I think, with having uniforms on the street, but the calibre of the soldiers that have been provided to do this task has been absolutely excellent. And now they've actually blended in and they're really accepted by the community. So they're working hand in hand with the local volunteers, and the exercise is going extremely well.
And one assumes that what they bring is the logistical expertise.
It does help as well, but I think actually the training of the Army nowadays as well is that actually they're very good at actually interfacing with the general public, and they've helped and they're helping actually train the local volunteers to do that who've never had any experience for it. So the two of them working together, as I say, has created a very successful exercise here.
And were there lots of people in Bolton who wanted to come forward and help?
Yes, there is, and Bolton Council have done an extraordinarily good job of communicating why we are doing the exercise that we're doing. And yes, the whole of the city, or the whole of the town, is actually engaging and helping us with this.
And what's the reception like what actually happens? Do you knock on someone's door and say, please, will you do a PCR test? We're part of the surge testing team here.
That's exactly what we do, and the way it works is that the day before we actually start delivering the tests, we actually leaflet the whole of the town, or the area that we're actually working in. So it's explained to them in a leaflet, so they then are prepared for the arrival of the teams the following day. And as I say, it's worked extremely well. The communication has been excellent.
And how quickly do you collect the PCR tests from people's homes? How quickly do you get them to the lab?
Well, they're taken the next day, yeah, I mean, they're taken the next day, so it's as quick as that.
OK. Peter, thank you so much. It's so interesting to hear what you're doing, and best of luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
The Army has been drafted in Bolton to help with surge testing in areas with the fastest rising cases of the Indian variants. The Sky's Sadia Chowdhury is there and joins us now. So, Sadia, the Army being called in is certainly an indication, isn't it, of how serious the spread of the Indian variant is?
It is, yes, and we're here out in Bolton in the streets, and you can see behind me the Army there working with local volunteers as they go door to door to deliver COVID test kits to people and explain why this is needed and try and persuade them to take those tests. Many people opening the doors today, you know, saying, oh, we take the test twice a week anyway, but these are the PCR tests. These are the ones that can go sent off to the lab, and then we can really track and trace where that Indian variant, the so-called Indian variant, is. And it has to be said that it's been 50-50 today. today because it is a sunny bank holiday. So while there are some people who are at home doing their DIY or working on their front lawns, many people didn't open the doors, and that's quite understandable given the weather and it being a holiday. But the whole point of all of this exercise is to really track how many cases of this so-called Indian variant there are still in this community. If you remember, a few weeks ago, it became the dominant strain here in Bolton, and then we saw those long queues of people waiting to get vaccinated at the Bolton vaccine bus. So it's really crucial now, 2 weeks on, to test how many cases there are, to figure out, how effective those vaccines have been and that uptake has been. And I'll just give you a few numbers. Overall, Bolton no longer has the highest number of cases of COVID in the country. It's just been overtaken by Blackburn with Darwin. But in terms of the Indian variant, it still seems to be the highest in the country. But overall, it does seem like the number of cases of COVID in this part of the country is on the decline.
Sadia, thank you. The Sadia Chowdhury in Bolton.
The effort to contain the effect of the Indian variants continued today with surge testing in one of the worst hit towns and an invitation to all over 18s who haven't been jabbed to take up remaining vaccine stocks at one major centre in London. Sky's Ashna Harinag reports.
Pounding the pavements of Bolton, the military on a deployment of surveillance and testing in one of the worst hit areas by the so-called Indian variant to halt its spread.
People see a uniform, they're a bit startled straight away, but as soon as we describe what we're doing, they're more than willing to assist us.